Hey, boys and girls, weather report for June 14th, 2021.
Wow. To answer your question before we went live, Midnight Sparkle, or whatever you want to be called this day.
Midnight.
When Wild Eden was on, there was a conversation about the reclining Buddha. That's a Tibetan thing. So I looked it up and I thought, that's pretty cool. I'm going to use that for an avatar. So there is the reclining Buddha. Now,
is that the avatar you use at work when you're in a Zoom meeting?
No, when I'm in a Zoom meeting, it's a picture of me in my slimmer and slightly younger days. Sometimes it's a hurricane, which is an assembly of little kits in a spiral.
You said slammer?
Slammer.
I don't think you did.
Slammer? When did I say slammer?
No, I don't know. You said it's a picture of you. It's a picture
in
of
my
you.
slim, being less hefty,
more
slim Jim, that kind of thing.
Anyway, so let's see what's happened. I don't know what's happened.
Well, Bernie, Revolver Bernie's on Smokey's channel right now.
Bernie
Sanders?
His name? Yeah.
Sanders?
Not Bernie Sanders.
On Smokey?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that's it. He's never coming on. He's never coming on my fucking channel.
I mean, why?
Bernie Sanders. If he's on Smokey's channel, I'm not going to have him on my channel. Fuck him. Bernie who?
Revolver Bernie. He's got a picture. He's got a picture with with an eye patch.
Revolver Bernie. I don't know what that is. I don't know what any of that is. Maybe you can fill us in. Tell us what a Revolver Bernie is.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't have said anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we shouldn't even talk about that shit. Anyway, so what else happened? Let's see. I was on The Rage, and we went over a Manatee video about why there are so few atheists in prison. And basically, his whole theory was that atheists lie so that they don't go into what atheists call the hole. So atheists pretend to be Christians. When they go in front of the parole board, they say, "Oh, I'm a Christian now. I'm not an atheist anymore." That was his whole theory, because I guess the prison population, they found like 0.7% identify as atheists, and everybody else identifies as some sort of religion, which is pretty low, considering that there are, I don't know what, between 7 and 12% of people in the U.S. right now identify as atheists. And they had some reasons for that, basically.
Yeah, I bet a lot of prisoners, obviously when you go in front of the parole board, you got to try to make yourself out to be this, nice person. You've been rehabilitated. I mean, you want to tell them what they want to hear. So I'm sure.
Yeah, but you're prevented. You're not supposed to talk about religion, and they're not supposed to talk about religion.
Yeah.
Because that would be considered bias. So you're not going to go in there.
Right.
Well, I suppose you could, but the truth of the matter is that a lot of people, when they end up in prison, they have a lot of time on their hands, and they start thinking. And if they were raised in a Christian home or touched Christianity or Islam, they will end up becoming jailhouse converts. That's one possibility. But it isn't like
Christian prison ministries. So, and prison
Yeah, that's the other
chaplains,
thing.
and
Right.
so you have all sorts of pressure put on by Christians for these
Yeah.
prisoners to convert.
Yeah,
And
it isn't like they were card-carrying American atheists, prior to that.
right.
Not likely.
And that's just typical, that's somebody that's going through trauma, right? They're isolated or whatever. They're, so what happens? They, religion is a utility. They're going to use it, and they're going to, because they're so desperate. What do people do? They revert to their imagination and just start. That's just a typical story. How many times do you hear people they convert to Christianity when they've gone through some sort of trauma? You can come up with a zillion different stories, but prison is just another one of them. That look at you got John's little peepee story of he had a brain aneurysm and he thinks God saved him or whatever. I don't know if that's
but that doesn't fact check.
I know. He says
that doesn't fact check. That's what he says, but that's not.
Which is a load of crap. But
not what he said in his podcast.
Yeah, I know.
He had an aneurysm and he became an entrepreneur, according to his podcast. So,
and why does he hide that? Right? Why does it? I guarantee you, that's the truth of the matter. Is that he survived that, and he's like, oh, praise Jesus, Jesus saved me. That's the case, but he just doesn't want to be another person like that. He doesn't, because people, that's an easy thing to attack. So he's not gonna let that out there. I
don't know. Listening to him, it was more like praise capitalism, and I'm going to do something with my life and become an entrepreneur. That's what he said in the podcast. There was nothing about.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think he was religious at all until shortly before he came on the YouTube scene. And I don't know what did it, but
I love how he describes it, like how how does he describe it? He says that he wanted to go out and make a ton of money. I love how he describes it like that. Well, apparently he didn't do that, John, as far as I can see. So and then it's and then he talks about that he wanted to do sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and he makes himself out to be this badass that he went out and did all this partying and all this sex and drugs, and the way he describes it, like he's this badass entrepreneur that made all kinds of money and this badass party dude, Well,
David, you're just jealous of his success. Okay.
Yeah. I know.
No,
I know.
Because you can never compete in the market. Okay.
Yeah.
You're just jealous.
If you have to describe yourself like that, you didn't do any of it. If you have to, brag about it, or you didn't actually accomplish any of that.
I mean, I can kind of agree with that, but then there are people who do those things, but then think that doing those things makes them really, really hot shit. So it's a mix.
Yeah, there's a few out there, but most of the people that brag about it are the ones that didn't actually do it.
Yeah, the thing is that I did a lot of partying back in the day, but there wasn't a whole lot of sex because we were all too fucked up to actually get that far. It's just like, we usually passed out before that happened, or no girl would have us because we were just so smashed and so loaded. So I can't remember a whole lot of sitting going on other than the fact that we did drugs and drank, and sat around laughing and maybe swearing. I guess we sinned there, but I don't know. Mostly the swearing wasn't the Jesus, it wasn't the taking the Lord's name in vain type. It was, more the fuck you type sort of, which I never understood. I never understood how that is taking the Lord's name in vain.
But you look at the way you describe it, right? Speed, you describe it totally different than the way he describes it. He describes it as though he was a badass, and you describe it as those were some tough times, or it's just totally different. The way, it's really quite different. he's trying to make himself out to be a badass, and you're just saying that those were some pretty rough times I went through, and I learned a lot from it, or the way it's just completely different.
Yeah. And they weren't all rough times. There were times where we had fun. We went out and partied and we had fun, right?
Right. But you're not describing it as though you're a badass. Like, I don't know. It's just
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there were probably maybe 3 badass moments if I were really to search around where I would think about, somebody in our group being a real badass, but it just wasn't what we were into. It's like not important. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Being a badass wasn't important. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. And then there were the other, well, being an alcoholic and a drug addict is different from being a young person who is social drinker, right? Who goes out and just drinks to have fun. Those people have fun, but I don't think there's a whole lot of sinning going on. I don't know. Other than, there is sex, I suppose, for everybody, but why is that a sin? Because you're not married? Is that it?
Yeah, that's what they claim. I
guess so. Yeah.
Remember, originally, sex was about property, not about fulfilling yourself.
Oh, so Maddox is a virgin because he said the other day on a chat that he has never been married. So he must be a virgin.
He should be. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. I don't know, but can you repent from that? I guess you can, right? Is that how that works? I don't know shit about this stuff because none of this stuff, like all this sinning and repenting and all those things, never even crossed my mind my entire life until I started associating myself with YouTube Christians. So
found out about sinning.
Yeah. I mean, I knew about it, but never crossed my mind at all. But can you, Scott? You know more about this than probably most of us in the room, right? You can repent, like in John's case. Okay, he had sex out of marriage. He can repent for that, right? Is that how that works?
Oh yes. Yeah. Most churches' doctrine allow for repenting. One, to quote unquote be saved again, like you're caught up in sin and you've lost your salvation, and you can pray and for forgiveness and repentance and be forgiven. Or like with Baptists and others who believe in eternal security, they call it once saved, always saved, but the real name for it is eternal security. You're not really repenting to be saved again. You repenting to be restored to fellowship with Christ so that you can live a life pleasing to him.
Yeah, but when he was on, I think he had a fight with Stinky, and I think the fight was about John is damned because he had a girlfriend or something, and he was like sleeping with her, I think. And he didn't really admit to that, but he was kind of, I think that was one of the subjects that came up. I'd have to go back and check that video, but I'm pretty sure that was there. And so I think he cuts himself a pass for that. I don't know. So his morals aren't quite as rigid, that you could have a girlfriend and sleeping together. I don't know.
Go over that again, Scott. I got a little confused there. So, and like, not the oneness, once saved, always saved, but the other doctrine. So, in other words, if you sin, then you can do repentance, right?
Right.
And then, but like, what happens when you keep doing it? Like, if you keep
sin again
and then repenting is sinning, doesn't that make you a piece of shit Christian? Like, I don't know, what does that mean?
That makes you an alcoholic.
Means you're not you're unstable and or undisciplined in your walk with Christ. I would think, but yeah, it depends on how granular you get with it. Like if I stub my toe and say God damn it or whatever, that's technically a sin. But am I going to lose my salvation over it? I don't know. I was never of a faith that taught that you could lose your salvation. But like if you're, if just kind of the orientation of your life has turned away from Christ, and you want to get your life right again, then that would require repentance. In most of those denominations that believe you can lose your salvation.
But see, there's a clause written in it all, right? So they can just get away with anything they want, really, right? It's basically like a get out of jail free card.
Well, that's kind of a cynical application of it, but yes, people can work the game like that, work the system like that, to where they're constantly doing an about face.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other day I was mowing the lawn and I threw some grass clippings on my neighbor's driveway, and it was really hot, and I didn't clean them up. Can I repent? Because that's about. I'm trying to put sin in context of my life today, and trying to figure out what would be a sin, and that's the only thing I could think of.
Well, there's individual sins, that are just things that you do, say, think, that displease God, and then there is just sin as kind of your orientation, your attitude towards God and the things of God. So it's kind of you might think of it as different connotations of the same thing.
Hard to have an attitude towards something I don't believe in. So
that's true, but you don't really need to bring the concept of sin into your worldview if you don't believe in the existence of God. You might be immoral. You might do something that's morally wrong,
like the grass clippings.
Your system of morals, but you wouldn't have to call it sin. I think sin's just kind of it's one of those things that apply in the game that you're in. And I know people get upset when we think of people's religions as games, but it's a language game. Yep. And because there's a God, then there's sin. But if you don't have a God, there's no sin. But there are things that we want to do to maximize prosperity and health and goodness for everybody, as well as ourselves. So that's why we behave morally.
Yeah. So here's what I think. Getting to this debate that TJump had with Danny, I don't think TJump was like shocked by Danny's ideas. And let's see, evidence for dualism just looks like a holdover from religious ideas. That's kind of what I think of it. But now a little bit of stuff, some stuff came up about language games, and that TJump was trying to tell him that is and ought and good and desire and all that stuff are words that humans have that describe our inner experience. Of course, every culture is going to be slightly different in how they describe those things or come up with them. But these are just words about our subjective experience, right? And for some reason, Danny thinks that there's some ontological reality to these things, and hence he derives his dualism from that. And TJump was like no. Oh shit. Orphan Black. Oh, my car warranty. My car warranty is expired.
Yeah, I was just get another one.
Yeah. I was just about to say the same thing that Danny just wrote in chat, that it doesn't surprise me that TJump was not surprised, because I mean, you know what TJump has been doing. He's been doing this for a long time, and he's spoken to a lot of people, so he's obviously have heard it all. And he does this full time, so
yeah. But Danny does a better job of explaining his position, I think, than a lot of these people do. And then when Danny explains his position, we're like, "What? Like, what did you just?"
Yeah.
I've listened to a number of other people, and they come at it from a whole lot of different directions, but they don't quite have the arguments that Natty Boy does. So anyway,
and Danny's probably good at it. I would credit him for that is because he's a high school teacher. So if you're a high school teacher and you're talking to young kids, you know, he's probably used to that and used to explaining things more on that type of level. So that probably what makes him good at it, you know.
Plus, he spent a lot of time on Discord.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
Yeah. So Rod Nakedness or Stupid Horn Energy wants to apparently is the one that's been calling me about my car warranty.
Wow. If I'd known it was you calling Raw Nakedness, I would have answered. Gosh.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Not sure.
Well, we could talk about arguments for and against God and stuff. She's really quite a philosopher.
Dualism. So anyway, this so he went on Praise's channel. Of course, Praise was just just slobbering all over him, which I think Danny likes.
It's the idea of the
Is that coming through?
Yep.
distinction between the first person point of view and the third person point of view. Right.
Yep.
The idea is that your experiences are yours, and for someone to have in principle access to it would shake that presumption, right? So the idea is that an electron is in the third person because we both can have a sort of intimate. We can approach and study electrons in the third person point of view, right? But I can't really study your intentions and your mind in the same way because they're your beliefs and intentions for me to access them in that.
Okay. So I don't think that's the case. I think in principle, you can study. Well, in fact, we do it in practice all the time because we all share the same language, right? And the same language and the same basic culture. So we often know what a person is going through. And sometimes we call it empathy. I know Danny doesn't understand empathy, but anyway, we frequently get into another person's point of view just by looking at the expressions on their face, listening to the words, watching what they're doing. You know, if somebody stubs their toe, we know damn well what they're going through. So this idea that this third person point of view is inaccessible, I think, is false. Basically, now you have the question: oh, if I stub my toe and you stub your toe, are we experiencing the same thing? And my answer to that question is yes, we are. Most philosophers would answer that in the negative. And I think most people would answer that in the negative. But I have considered this from a different angle. So anyway, but I would answer, yes, we go through exactly the same thing when we stub our toes. Maybe in degrees differently. So.
And why wouldn't you? Like, what was the argument? Why would a philosopher say you're not experiencing the same things?
Well, he says that. Okay, he says that basically we could study electrons and we could study things around us like trees and leaves and chlorophyll, and that is or that is a third person point of view, right? But we can never know another person's first person's point of view, right? We can't penetrate. I can't get into your mind and experience what you're experiencing.
Right. Right. When you're talking exact, right? That's like.
Yeah, because actually, but when you're talking exact, if I study a leaf on my oak tree out here, say leaf number 35,651, that is not exactly the same leaf as the one right next to it. And something different is going to be going on. So, I mean, there is that, right? So, I mean, you can come up with a generalized idea of how a leaf is creating glucose from sunlight, but that does not actually apply to what's really, really happening in any one of those leaves. Every leaf is different, and every thought is different. So what's the difference?
Right.
Anyway, something we don't consider. I mean, you can reduce the things around us, the physicality, and you can use science to reduce it to these ideas that we have, but you're still missing the thing. It's a thing in itself. The thing in itself is very individual and not reducible entirely. We can only reduce it in concepts enough to understand how things work. But you can do the same thing with somebody else's mind. I mean, you can look into the neuroscience of it, you can watch what they're doing, and you can pretty much reduce it to the same concepts we have about electrons. We can't see a fucking electron. Nobody knows what the hell electrons are really doing, yet we all think we have, this third-person access to them. We don't. So what is the difference? Life is complex. So I don't know. Anyway, let's listen.
That way would just mean that I'm you, right? So it's just that. So he gave that argument, and he just was not getting it, right?
I think he was getting it.
He does, and he's very thick-headed and stubborn. But we'll keep on going, man. This is really good stuff. I'm learning a lot from you as well. But yeah, I think he sits in the realm.
Blah blah. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff on Praise's stream. I only bookmarked one thing.
Is there any juicy? It looks like is that little peepee in there?
Oh yeah, he's right here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Did he say anything stupid?
Oh,
I would think he would have, but
that's what I'm essentially giving here. But the fancy terms are that the normativity is irreducible. So like if you take some people think that like let's say the statue in some plaza is reducible to the molecules that comprise it, whether that be some kind of metal or whatever in their specific arrangement. So that's a kind of reduction that all the statue is a particular configuration of molecules, and that's what we call a reduction. Their arguments suggest that normativity can't be broken down that way, that it's kind of fundamental, that when we say something is good or something is right or wrong, there's no further analysis. You can't break that down any more than what you've expressed, right? In the same way,
in scientific terms,
yeah, especially scientific terms, right? The point.
Okay, I think you can. Like, well, I'm going to switch to the other video, the TJump video. TJump versus Danny. Is this one? No. Okay. There was one on Godless Girl from 2020, November 7th. TJump versus Danny.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
There's another video I found. I'll link all three in the description when I get a chance here. But, okay, so
I'll have to go back and check out this video a little bit. Praises. I would imagine that little peepee's in there, and this is like way over his head, so he probably didn't say hardly. He probably just sat there and listened.
Yeah, he just had a bunch of.
He would just say something stupid if he opened his mouth. So. Yep.
It's like an auto mechanic watching brain surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't have a whole lot to say about it. So
that's a good analogy, exactly.
Yep. And we have another video. Share screen. But it was really obvious exactly how they were talking past each other. And I think TJump understood it rather well. So let's see, TJump versus Danny. Okay, Phil Talk. So that's the one. Okay. Anyway, I think TJump understood it. I'm not sure if Danny quite gets why. And it's kind of the same thing with my methodological scientism, which is what I decided to call it so that it isn't confused with the stupid strawman scientism. And I think it's the same kind of thing, this lack of understanding of when you take physicalism and naturalism and you extend them to their furthest reaches, okay, there are no problems with third person or first person point of view or what good is or what moral is or any of that stuff, because you're standing outside of humans, looking at them as organisms, listening to them make these squeaking noises. One of the squeaking noises is you can't derive a ought from an is. That's a squeaky noise they make. And then you can look at all that from a purely physical point of view. So a physicalist, there's nothing inconsistent about physicalism and naturalism. Nothing at all. Until you try to change until you fall into this like first person language game and you make all sorts of religious claims about it. That's where you get into trouble. And I think that's what, unfortunately, what 70% or now 40% of philosophy is. And the rest of philosophy is a hell of a lot better than this kind of crap. But I don't know. Any comments on that? You guys want to push back on my scientism a little bit? Methodological scientism.
Just because he's not here to say it, Speed, you don't understand me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Danny has claimed in the chat that physicalism and dualism are empirically equivalent. Take note because he seems unable to explain how he gets to that point. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so let's play a little bit here.
Yeah, I just distinguish with like Hume used the term ought. I'm going to replace ought with good. I think there's a distinction between good things and things that are not defined as good.
Okay, you already said that, but so I also believe in morality. I believe in objective morality. I understand Hume's dilemma. I don't have any oughts. All I have is ises, and I still solve that problem. So obviously
I don't know what you mean by ought.
That's fine. I don't care. So I also believe in so I believe in moral realism with physicalism. So where do you think the distinction here is? Like, why do you need to say that there's dualism to have objective morality? Because I'm not saying
okay. So the idea is that I distinguish between goodness, things that are good, and things that are not good. That's to say, between descriptive and prescriptive things. I think that desires are prescriptive. I think natural states are descriptive.
Okay.
That's so that if there's a distinction there, there's a distinction between the natural world and my desires.
If objective morality.
Okay, so Danny in this debate said that because there is a distinction, that there is no way to come up with a physical or a natural version of what a desire is. And TJump came back and said, well, you have like an emotion, that you desire something. And Danny didn't seem to get that. He thinks that's like somehow that is an uncrossable barrier, that you can't have a desire.
That's the distinction is just from mind, is in the mind, is what he's referring to, and that's where his dualism comes in, right? That's his dualism. It's desires are in the mind, but yeah.
Well, he has some other thinking, I think, that's problematic, and maybe some other clips here. I'm not sure what I bookmarked exactly. Didn't do a very good job of this, but maybe we'll catch one of them.
Just made up in language, that means it doesn't exist in reality.
That's not my position. Apparently, that's your position, right?
Yes, that's my position.
My position is that it's built into the notion of desire.
What does that mean?
It means that if I desire X, that entails, given that desire, the existence of the desire, that entails a state, which is this desire, in which I should do something, or X is good.
Okay, that seems obviously false. Like animals.
Okay, now something I'm a little worried about. I'm worried about Danny because he says if I desire something, then that entails it being good. So anything you desire entails good?
Yeah, that's a little problematic, right? Yeah, that's a little scary.
I would think so.
Right?
Yeah,
that's not too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now look back to Atheist Jr., the reason Danny got uninvited from our channel, even though I did have him in on Saturday night, where he said that he is praiseworthy for hurting his Atheist Jr.'s feelings. And he didn't say anything. He says, that doesn't tell you what I should do or what I ought to do. Just because I mean, he was saying that maybe he should have hurt people's feelings, that there's something about it. And is that because he desired to do so? So it was good. If you desire, it is good. So, little peepees in the chat.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't think you guys can get dumber, lie more. You do. Link, please. Oh, he wants to come in? That'd be fun.
When you're stating an opinion, that's not a lie, John. You just,
yeah,
it's just an opinion, dumbass.
So, I mean, there were a couple places here where, let's see.
If I'm committed to eating breakfast in the morning every day, okay, do you think that we can derive that it's good to eat breakfast in the morning every day from
No.
just that truth?
No.
Okay, then I don't know what you mean by commitment in that case.
Commitment has nothing to do with good. I could be committed to drowning babies. That doesn't mean it's good to drown babies or that I should drown babies.
Look,
Right
I
on,
understand
Tom.
that. Okay, then do you think that you should be committed to good things or bad things?
Neither. Like, you can be committed to whatever you want. Like you choosing what you want to be committed to is a completely separate topic. Like, being committed to something doesn't make it good or doesn't imply goodness. You could be committed to anything you want, and that wanting it doesn't make it good.
Let's just rewind. You expressed that belief, commitment, and acceptance are synonyms, right?
Sure.
Okay, so then when I said that to believe that X is true is to be committed to X as being true,
Sure.
right? Okay, so that part wasn't gibberish. You said that where was the
Well, it's a
gibberish part?
tautology. You're saying the same thing twice, which is why I just said.
Of
if you
course,
believe-
it's an illogical. I'm
Yeah, and I think where Tom screwed up here is he kind of let him run him down on this language game thing, and started, trying to say things inside of the language game that Danny is playing, and so he kind of brought him into it. So Tom was saying a belief is the same as a commitment to the belief being true, whereas I think a belief is a lot more that you would have to do a lot more fleshing out to figure out what you mean by belief. And what we mean by belief has probably 100 different meanings in different shades that we could come up with. Okay, so I got two people in the back room. One of them, I don't know who it is, but it looks like a farting pixie. And the other one
That's little pee-pee.
The other one has the other one has a bunch of smoke coming out around it, and it looks like some sort of
I think
dark-hooded
they must
figure.
be upset about what you said about their conversation. So the two of them want to come in. So that
I don't
must
want
be
to-
what they're all upset over.
I don't want to talk about that. So if that's what you want to talk about, I don't want to talk about that. So what do you want to talk about? You want to clarify something, or maybe I got something wrong, Mr. Maddox?
Yeah. So, what is your position about me as an entrepreneur from a timing perspective? Because you're a lying sack of shit. Both of you and whoever the little fucktard was talking shit earlier, David, whoever his name was.
Oh, I think you're a third idiot, and I don't really value your opinion at all. But I did listen to a thing right after your aneurysm where you did a little talk. You did an interview, and you didn't say anything about God at all. Is that because...
Which interview? Because I did quite a few. I was on. I spoke at LinkedIn Live. I went to multiple conferences, radio shows. I mean, I did a variety of different things.
No, I don't know about any
I
of
had
that.
my
You-
own radio show. So
You were on a podcast. Do you remember the podcast that you were on?
Which podcast? Like the one I
I don't-
hosted? The one I
No,
hosted?
not the one you hosted. No, you were a
I was
guest.
I was a guest on more than one. Talking about Entrepreneur on Fire. You talking about which
Yeah,
one?
that one. There you go. That one.
Okay, that's all about entrepreneurship. That has zero to do with religion. You do realize that, right?
Yeah, but okay. So you had an aneurysm and you came to Christ, but you also came to be. You were telling him that you decided to be an entrepreneur.
No, dude. You clearly have a hearing disorder of some kind or
No, I actually listened to the whole podcast.
I didn't decide
twice.
I didn't decide to become an entrepreneur. I actually was already an entrepreneur prior to that, and I shifted into my focus
You
from
shifted your focus. Yeah.
a specific business model because I sold that one, and I shifted over into a tech equity position venture. And that's what I was doing then. And it was actually, ironically, I actually ended up executing the idea that I was pitching a billionaire in my office when I collapsed due to my brain injuries. So if you guys want to continue to talk your shit and call me a liar about this stuff, how much do you want to bet that I can prove beyond all doubt that you're full of shit? How much do you want to bet?
I mean, all doubt.
I'm not going to bet you, but I welcome you to prove me. I welcome you to prove it. Go ahead, prove
I
it.
was a liar, that I was not an entrepreneur prior to my brain aneurysm and finding Jesus and all that kind of stuff. So how much do you want to bet that I can prove beyond all doubt that your lying sacks of shit. How much you want to bet?
I mean, if the bet's all doubt, I'll take that bet.
I'll bet $1.
That's literally impossible to prove.
That I was an entrepreneur?
No,
That you
beyond
were
all
not a
doubt.
lying sack of shit.
Beyond all doubt, yes.
Did you say legal documents with me denoting my equity position in legal entities with K1s is somehow not proof in a legal sense?
You don't think I could find people that would doubt that? Or that
Well,
subsequently I could find people that would doubt?
Okay.
Over proponents of the evidence, I'm pretty sure the number of affidavits that I can get from clients, the number of contracts that can be displayed, the number of employees that I had, I'm pretty sure that I can win any fucking case in that context. So
but case is reasonable doubt.
So you want?
Case is reasonable doubt, not all doubt.
Well, that's why I shifted to preponderance of the evidence. But if you want to go beyond all reasonable doubt, we can do that too. If you want to figure out some criminal case, that's sure.
Oh no, I don't have any doubt that you did entrepreneurial things.
Okay, so you want to retract your lying bullshit then?
What? I didn't say anything about you.
Who was the fucktard that was claiming that I was a liar at the beginning of the stream?
I don't know, but I'll say it just to hear it.
Anyways, a liar? Let's see. Yeah, well, you kind of like changed your story, you know?
How did I change my story? How did my story change at all?
Well, your story sounded a lot different on that podcast than the story you tell about coming to Jesus. Like, when exactly? Okay, can you prove that you come to Jesus after the aneurysm?
So in a business context, I didn't talk about religion in a business context. That makes no fucking sense.
Hold on a second here. You need to shut your fucking mouth when I'm talking. Okay?
Are you a fucking idiot?
Okay, you need to shut your fucking mouth when I'm talking. Okay? Now, your story doesn't match up. This whole thing about becoming, like, coming to Jesus right after your aneurysm. When I listened to your podcast, you never talked about any of that stuff at all. You never talked about anything religious. The first religion I ever heard out of your mouth was when you started a YouTube channel.
Why would I talk in... Okay, dude, you do realize...
Okay, I'll grant you that. There's a possibility that you just didn't want to bring it up because you didn't want to, like, piss off business people by talking about God during your podcast. Yeah, that could have happened. But can you prove that you had this come to Jesus moment? I'll bet you $1 that you can't.
I mean, Speed, that seems to be unfair. How the fuck can you prove when you had a Jesus moment? Come on, man.
I'm betting him $1. I don't think a lot is at stake here, Midnight.
I mean, you could have video evidence of Jesus coming down and talking to you. I mean,
well,
theoretically.
Okay, fine. Sure.
You could have video evidence, yeah. You could have something.
Let me defend Maddox here for a second to chat. Snake was right. Said Maddox claimed there was counsel present in traffic court. You can have counsel present in traffic court. That is actually possible. You just have to pay for it. It's not provided for you like everywhere else.
Okay, so the guy that's in the back room, the weird guy that's standing in fire, like I think he's in hell or something like that. He's talking to somebody, but I'm not sure who he's talking to. So in private chat, could you clarify perhaps what happened to our farting pixie? He left and came back. He must have a bad friendship. Okay.
I'm getting gas right now. So anyway, you are obviously a complete moron if you think that in a business context of a 30-minute podcast interview,
you're going to have to be a little nicer.
You guys called me a liar. You said I literally...
Did I call you a liar? Did I call him a liar? No, I think I just implied that he was like changing the truth a little bit.
Called a sociopath in your chat.
Well, yeah, you're a sociopath.
And in the context of you, as the host, you stated that I was a liar and saying I was making things up and that you could research this when, again, you have been in business, right? Have you been in business throughout I know you're retired now, but at some point, Pudding Brain, you were in business, correct? You have like contracts. Did you ever do
retired? Who told you I was retired?
I've heard you say you were retired. If you're not, fine. In business context, if you're having a business meeting, are you just going to start like talking about being a fucking strict materialist atheist, Buddhist?
Right. I actually do. But I actually do that. But I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that, John.
You're being interviewed from a business perspective where you're giving a presentation on a software project you're working on. You're just going to all of a sudden be like, hey, while I'm describing to you all the functionality and how we've done this in our Scrum meetings and yada, yada, yada. Let's just start talking about Buddhism out of nowhere. That's bullshit, dude. Don't be a freaking liar.
Yeah, actually, I do that. That's why my sons won't let me come to any of the corporate meetings anymore.
Okay. So you are a weirdo then. So your sons have banned you from doing what you're claiming I should have done in a business interview. Is that what you're saying? So what your own son did is stupid. I should have.
Yeah,
done.
I'll grant you that, but you never hinted about this God stuff at all. I mean, it's nowhere in your goddamn resume or in your. In your background. So
we're talking about shit personal and religion, dude. Like who? What? Okay, honestly.
Yeah, you made it up, John. You made it up.
Okay. Seriously, do any of you, if you were applying for a job, would you be like, oh, well, here's the whole story in your written resume? Are you fucking retarded?
So you're saying you've been a religious nutcake all your life?
That's not what I said. I'm talking about from a business perspective. Would you put all of that in your business resume?
Yeah, I granted you that. Why are you still talking about it?
Right now, that would recommend that. I dare you. Go do it.
I granted you that. I said, okay, maybe you didn't want to bring it up. But do you have any proof that you had this religious experience? You sure fucking babble a lot and your connection's really bad. But now I granted you that, right?
If you're admitting that you wouldn't do that and it wouldn't make any sense to do that from a business perspective, why are you saying that because I didn't do it, then therefore it never happened? That's
yeah, but there must be some evidence of your church going or your church involvement after your aneurysm or somebody. I mean, somebody must be able to verify this because I can't.
Why am
I really
even
doubt you? I think you're kind of a grifter.
Hey, why don't we give him a minute?
Put your mic down. Put your mic down, Leo.
What's the point of the discussion we're having?
There is none, Leo.
John is angry because
John's just mad at us.
Why don't we give Maddox a chance to not be getting gas so he doesn't look like a raving?
So is Smokey Satan private chat calling John an accident of nature that should have been aborted by his own ideology?
He's talking about Top Dog because I guess Smokey is threatened by Top. Who isn't Smokey threatened by?
Look, don't.
Dude, he's threatened by fucking Jen Aldrich's boobs. Come on now, like anything would offend that guy. Anything would make him cower into the corner.
Don't dead name Smokey, okay? His real true name is Map.
You want to talk about anything else, John? Because we're done with that topic.
At this point, I want you to apologize for calling me, saying I was lying and making shit up that you can't back up. Or
I think I really suspect that you are lying about it. I don't believe you.
Can you show that he's lying though?
Your point. What is your specific claim that I'm lying about?
You might. What the?
What is the specific claim? Back up your bullshit and let's bet money.
I don't think you had a come to Jesus moment right after your aneurysm. I don't think you had it until you started your YouTube channel. And I just really doubt you. I mean, I've listened to a lot of stuff.
Why are you so concerned with this? Why are you so concerned with what his beliefs were prior to him being on YouTube? And
what do you mean? Why am I so concerned?
Because you seem to be like very concerned with whether or not he believed in God or went to church prior to him being on YouTube. Like I don't understand why this is relevant to anything that we do.
Well, I don't think he's that concerned. I
don't think I'm that concerned. I don't know what you're talking about.
Then why do you keep pressing?
Come on.
I don't think I'm that concerned about it, so I don't really understand what the hell you're talking about, Leo. So,
well, you little bitch boys talked shit about me at the beginning of the stream, and you claimed I was a liar, and that I was making shit up. And
John, we talk shit about you all the time.
Yeah, we talk because you invite that.
That you had researched it. You claim that and now your research is you heard I think it's like a 29-minute podcast interview I did with John Lee Dumas on Entrepreneur on Fire. That's all about entrepreneurship specifically. And there's a specific set of questions he asks people that he sends you ahead of time that you respond to.
It's more than that. It's more than that. It's your entire...
Why didn't you talk about it in the interview? Why would I have talked about it when there's preset questions about entrepreneurship that you respond to in...
Okay, we've already covered this. We've covered this.
Is that like beyond...
We've covered this.
Why do you keep talking about it?
We've covered this.
I love the fact how John, puts up memes and on his community page every day talking shit, and then when somebody says anything about him, he cries like a little baby.
Sure,
Uh,
I can agree that like some of his
that.
community posts are maybe.
John, you were like a little.
Okay,
you were like a little
I'll just
schoolgirl.
shut up, I guess, since my mic apparently doesn't seem to be working.
It's
No,
a
it might be
little, just like a little schoolgirl, Johnny.
So, David, did you call
love
me
it.
a liar? Yes or no?
Okay, John. We'll see you later. Have a nice
Okay, so-
day.
Call you a liar?
Yeah, yes or no?
Have a nice day.
I was stating an opinion.
He's in the backstage.
Well, that was a shit show.
That was
Yeah.
a complete and utter waste of time.
I love it how he talks so much shit, and then when somebody says something about him,
That's
he
not what
comes
he's
in and
upset about.
whines like a little
That's
girl.
not what he's upset about. It's
Yeah,
obvious that's not what he's upset about. He's upset because Speed is accusing him
We don't give a
of
fuck what your
lying
opinion is on
about.
this.
Well, it isn't an opinion. Actually, I just don't think you have the charitability to understand where Maddox is trying to come from. It's kind of sad, really.
Charitability?
Welcome to welcome to humans
You don't-
being biased.
You don't have to like somebody to understand them or grant them charity. I'm not a fan of Maddox. I don't think he's like a bad person, but I don't really like him. I think he's just quite unruly with his approach. But I mean,
Yeah. You want to talk
if
about
you're saying,
information?
"Look, dude, like I feel like you're just lying about me and saying that you don't believe aspects of my life that you couldn't really possibly know based off of a few podcasts that you watched, and then you claim that you're not really interested in it, but then you keep talking about it as if you are."
Well, yeah, I'm because I think he's a grifter, you know. So I bring it up, and I have a lot of judgment.
So I'm a grifter now?
Yeah, I think you're a
Okay.
grifter.
Okay. So you just made false accusations against me based on false research because you clearly don't know a fucking thing, or you're too dumb to comprehend basic information. Or, I mean, again, how much do you want to bet that I can prove that I was an entrepreneur before my brain hemorrhage? How much you want?
$1.
No, wait, let's go higher than that, bitch boy.
Why?
Well, let's go higher. Come on.
All I got is $1. That's all I got. That's all I can afford.
Let's do a minimum of 5K. How about that?
$2.
5K?
How about 5K?
Yeah, so I mean, now you're
See?
making me not believe Maddox because people that want to make large bets over things that don't matter tend to be just trying to bully you, like poker face you.
Anyway, back to our debate.
Speed.
Finally.
Hey, Andrew.
Just take the dollar, Maddox.
I want to ask John some questions about phylogenetics, but
okay.
Oh yeah, good luck with that,
yeah,
Andrew.
I
I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
Andrew wants to ask you some questions about
How about
phylogenetics.
$1,000, bitch boy? How about that?
Just take the dollar. Quit trying to poker face him.
Poker face.
Okay, now, John, do you want to answer? You want to answer Andrew's questions, or you want to make stupid? What is it? Like man up, sort of dick energy, kind of bet fucking bullshit. Whatever the hell you do. I mean, what? Oh fuck! I lost him. Oh, he went away finally. Oh shit! I mean, he wants to. Yeah. He's unzipping his dick again. That's what he's doing. $5,000. Let's go. It's like, fuck you. You don't have $5,000.
Do you think somebody here's named Mitch because he keeps going Mitch boy, Mitch boy?
Mitch boy.
So-
Mitch boy. I don't know what he's talking about.
I think he should have upped the bet to you have to sign the dollar as it's your dollar and you're wrong about him.
I'm not a good. Okay. Who's CW? Hey, CW. I'm not a grifter. No, let's gamble, right? Let's try to make some money. I'm not a grifter.
I didn't know gamblers were
How about
grifters.
$5,000? Fuck. Only what does he call it? 5K. You know, big business people call it 5K. Yeah. Anyway,
sounds like
So-
a little
Yeah.
grade school arguments, and that's exactly what John does. Grade school arguments. That's all.
yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
So Andrew, I don't think he's capable of talking about information or phylogenetics in a rational
Yeah.
manner.
Not in that mood, that's for sure.
He only comes on here when he's all fired up about something. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you know, anyway,
I would honestly
will-
argue that you shouldn't bring up that he's a grifter if he is, because he's grifting the people you would probably want to be grifted.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't mind.
What
being
if
a
what if I
grifter
didn't
once
want
in-
anybody to be grifted?
Well, then maybe you should bring it up.
I wouldn't mind doing a little grifting myself. I mean, it's not a bad thing to be a grifter. It's just that's kind of his game. He certainly doesn't seem to be a loving
Well,
Christian.
I mean,
haven't seen
hold
any
on.
evidence of that.
If he provides a service, is he really grifting?
If he provides a service, yeah, but there's no service provided by his grifting.
Well, I mean, he does streams, he hosts debates. That's a service. It's not
You
a good
think?
service, but it's
Wait
a
a minute.
service.
When has he ever hosted a debate on his channel?
Yeah, but I mean, grifters need setup too. Midnight, right? I mean, confidence. I mean, a confidence man can't get your money by walking up to you naked.
Yeah.
I'm really wondering whether anybody here actually knows what a grifter is.
I mean,
I think I know what a
we're-
grifter is.
we're-
I saw the movie.
We're joking here, so I don't know. If you
I
wanna,
would
if you
certainly
wanna,
hope so.
if you want to explain to us what a grifter is, go ahead.
I do not. No, I do not. I hope that I wouldn't have to.
Person who engages in petty or small scale swindling. I guess, yeah, swindling. That's isn't that the YouTube world? I mean, isn't that what we all are?
I would just say a
no.
specialized confidence man. That's what they are.
We have a celebrity here.
Who?
A guy that was on TJump's channel. He's actually famous now. Name is Danny.
How did you like your debate with J-Tump?
I've debated him like 3 or 4 times in small capacities, and I always find it mentally taxing.
Is your
Yeah.
mic turned on?
What?
You just sound kind of distant.
Oh, let me fix it.
Maybe that's just how
Are you really drinking a Capri Sun?
It's all natural.
I mean,
Oh,
so
man.
you're- when
It
you're
says so on
drinking,
the label.
I'm sorry, it's all
it makes
natural.
you. It still makes you
Just
look
the
young.
way, just the way Danny did that. It was just
Like,
like,
like don't
It's not non-natural. It's not non-physical. It's natural.
look.
Yeah.
Don't judge a man. I walk by the Lunchables in the store every week, staring at them like I used to love those. I wish I could get those and not look like an idiot.
Oh, they're very no. Well,
Lunchables?
are you saying I look like an idiot? But
I mean, a little bit.
okay. Well, I'll embrace
Yeah,
it.
you
But
got a juice box,
the
dude.
nice thing about it is it's 20 cents, 10 or 20 cents.
yes, sir. Honestly, who gives a shit how you look? Just get those.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Take them back home, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Who
I still
cares?
want to have sex with my woman. That's.
Are you saying she won't do that if you bring those home?
If you have
I
a drink
mean-
box.
I mean, sitting down at the kitchen table and eating a tiny Lunchable, is probably not image building at all. No.
How many of y'all eat? Like before I met my wife, like I ate horribly. I would like eat macaroni and cheese and basically Lunchables, but not Lunchables, but basically Lunchables.
Yeah. Men eat cheese and crackers, right? Kids eat Lunchables.
Lunchables always tasted like we had them for our kids, and they always kind of tasted and looked like they'd been left out in the sun too long. I don't know. I just sort of suspect them. But we fed
I
them
think-
to the kids.
But to what you were saying, I think like he called me. He said I was dumb or so a few times, but I think that he got a lot nicer. Like he was
Tom?
above. Yeah, like towards the end, he was a lot nicer than I expected him to be.
Yeah,
I
you
don't-
had a fairly calm talk with them, so you know you guys
But
didn't.
I made it a point not to call him any names.
Yeah,
But
Oh yeah, but you can't do that here, you fucking douchebag.
look, he has a tell. If he looks up to the ceiling like he's confused, that's actually him not quite understanding what you're saying, and he doesn't know what to do.
Well, I will say that Leo, I called him all sorts of names, right? Before I didn't call him any names in that instant, right?
Mhm.
Just like with Speed, you know, there are cases in which I decide not to name call, and then there are cases in which I decide to name call.
By the way, Danny, I did pull a U in the discussion that I had on the EA show with.
What
a
did you
bunch
do?
of- So I don't know. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I'm sure there are people in the room that have. Jake, I think it's Jake, the Muslim metaphysician.
Oh, that guy's horrible.
Yeah. And because I was on the EA show with used to be Justin Downing, it's Khalil Allah now, and they were reviewing a part of the Cosmic Skeptics conversation with Dr. Craig on the Kalam, and we were talking when I came in about tensed versus tenseless time. And yeah, Jake didn't actually contend with a single thing that I said. He just started, like, it slowly progressed to him throwing insults. And I think we had been backstage at this point, but I was like,
wait,
dude,
what is it? What about this is like my style?
yeah,
Like,
I was getting there. So we were backstage and he was saying something. I said, look, dude, if you don't understand this, why don't you just sit down, let the big boys talk? You might learn something. And then he was like, yeah, this guy's just a piece of shit.
they always hate that, man. They always hate it so much.
Yeah, it's funny. I said, oh, this is the perfect moment to do this. I'm just like, dude, just sit down. Just sit down.
Oh, man.
The adults are having a discussion.
I did actually speak to. Sorry for my voice. I've been on.
Thomas,
streaming all
are
day.
you in the hospital or?
No, not yet. It's close.
Do we need to pray for you?
Very fucking close. You can do whatever the fuck you like, man.
I'll pray for you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. I thought you would. I knew you were a theist.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's take that joke apart. I actually spoke to Tom last night after your debate. I listened to it. I thought it was really pretty good, and I got him to steel man your position. And actually, I thought he did a fairly good job. So I think he really did listen to what you were saying.
Okay, where did you do that? Where did you do that?
I think he did understand the essentials of my argument. I think he did understand.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't think there was a point.
Where did you do that?
On his channel.
He does it in the debate too, right? He actually summarizes my view in the debate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
he does. He did. I just wanted to make sure that he got it right, kind of thing, you know.
I think he got it mostly right, but I like I told Praise, we had to be careful not to get sucked in to a meta-ethical debate, right? Because this was partially my mistake. I made a couple mistakes. One of the first mistakes is I should have not brought in a meta-ethical view like subjectivism or relativism. I think I can make my argument in a way where you could be a moral realist. So that was my mistake. And then also, I think that I didn't nuance something. I said something like, if you desire X, then X is good. What I should have said.
That good was the wrong word there. Yeah.
Well, no. Well, I said if you desire X, then you believe that X is good. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
right?
indeed.
Because that's the one thing I picked up.
Although I'm not sure good is the right word there. I think beneficial is a better word.
But you see, the difference is that you can desire X and believe that X is good, but X is not actually good.
Actually good, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, I wouldn't use the word good, but just to keep out of the way of morals. I would just say beneficial, you know, believe that it's beneficial.
But weren't they having a discussion on morality?
Say again. Yes, Sweet. Sorry.
Was that on the TJump Sunday call-in show, or was that the poker game? Okay, it was on the call-in show.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear it. Okay, thank you.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, every now and again, I disagree with TJump on a fair amount of stuff, and I agree with him on a lot of other stuff. But
I bet you agreed with him on the induction stuff, right? I bet you loved that.
Not really the way I put it. Well,
I don't know if I heard that.
Generally, yes. Just don't put it the same way.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've spoken to you before about this and saying
you did.
Logic really reduces to induction at the end of the day.
I think that I personally, I don't think that can't be. We talked about it, but I disagree with you.
Yeah.
What did he say about induction?
I don't really.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it was hard to frame, but I think that what he was suggesting.
He
What
misspoke.
what I thought he was saying was like, if there's an inductive argument that's somehow stronger than, and we have to cash out what stronger means here. An inductive argument that's somehow stronger than a deductive argument, right? Because he said, and I was like, no, that can't be right. Yeah.
Well, it is right if you put in a slight caveat.
It's not Leo.
Wait, hold on.
It is Leo.
What would that caveat? What would that caveat be?
Oh, the caveat being is that we're trying to understand something which is unknown. So a deductive argument can't get you to an unknown conclusion, right? Or a necessary conclusion about something which is unknown. It can only get you to things which are known about in the premise, right? So that's the subtle thing. Where an induction is not going to guarantee you an answer, but it can get you to an answer of something which is unknown.
Can I ask you a quick question? Can an inductive argument be wrong?
Yeah.
Can a deductive argument be wrong?
Not if you agree that the premises are true.
So let me reword that. Can a sound deductive argument be wrong?
No.
Okay, and that's why I would say deductive arguments are because the inductive arguments
No,
aren't even.
let me
spoken
ask
about
you
in
a question
terms of
back.
validity and invalidity.
Let me ask you a question back then. Do you think soundness is objective?
Soundness is objective. What do you mean by objective?
Independent of an opinion, if you like.
Because when I think of objective, I think of mind independent, and I think soundness is a concept of minds because it's something we apply to.
Correct.
And this is broadening it, but it's something that we apply to our language and our linguistic structures and how we speak about things. If we didn't exist, those wouldn't exist neither with the concept of soundness. But in the sense
Correct.
that do we have a definition or a working usage of what soundness is that applies, that people understand, that even if you disagree with that, no, this is still what it is. Objective in more like that sense, I would call that more intersubjective. Then I would say yes. But some people would refer to that as being objective because at least to some degree, I guess you could say truth or utility or what have you contained within it exists independent of differing opinions or beliefs or ideologies.
That's what I usually take to me. I usually use the term universal in that case, but that's not well established.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that upon pains of circularity, then that's fair enough, right? You're gonna, if you define something in a particular way.
But the way TJump defended it was nothing like what Simon was saying. Although I don't understand what Simon was saying either. But
no, I don't think it is. Well, he didn't kind of include this part about I mean, the way I see it, okay, is that in order for something to be sound, you have to think that it's sound. Now, it may be sound objectively, okay, but that's still an opinion. Okay, so even when you use something really like a classic one, like Socrates is mortal, all men are mortal, therefore Socrates is a man.
Simos, can you glance at private chat for a minute?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe work on that for me because this is like 2 hours and 34 minutes long.
Okay, I'll do that in a sec. Let me just finish up this point quickly.
Go ahead.
I think those premises depend on induction, right? And that's the ultimate
But that's
thing,
how
right?
I interpreted. That's how I interpreted TJump. I told him after he gave all of his arguments about induction, deduction. I said, okay, the charitable way I can understand what you're saying is something like the premises might be supported inductively, but the conclusion, the reason why the conclusion follows from the premises is not an inductive kind of inference, right?
Correct.
So
yeah,
that's. But I don't remember what he I thought he rejected that characterization.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I don't.
That's not my understanding of talking to TJump. I think he recognizes that deductive arguments give you a necessary conclusion, provided they sound premise.
Well, not a well, I don't want to say necessary conclusion. The conclusion might not be necessary.
How so? If the premises are sound, surely that.
No, I don't like. Just take like if Danny is a bachelor. If Danny's a bachelor,
you're talking past one another.
Okay.
Basically, it means that the conclusion is necessarily true.
No, no, that's not true.
No, that's why I'm asking what he means by this.
Yeah, I'm saying it. I used to say that too, and then I realized I was making a mistake. If it's a triangle, no, that's not a good example. If I'm a bachelor and I'm unmarried, I'm a bachelor, therefore I am unmarried. I am unmarried. It's not necessarily true. That's contingent. That's contingent.
You would say it's deductively true.
Yeah, right.
It's just So there's a difference between, I think it follows.
No. We're giving that the premises are true.
Right.
And under that circumstance, right?
Even if the premises are true, it's not going to get you necessity.
Use the same example you use there. If you are a bachelor,
Leo, are you a bachelor? Just to make this Leo.
Okay, Leo is a bachelor. Leo is unmarried.
Yeah, so therefore, it's not necessarily true that Leo can marry, man. He's got hope.
No, it means Leo is not married. Is the conclusion? It doesn't mean that he.
What am I?
He can't get married.
He can get married.
Yeah, of course he can get married, but that's nothing to do with the. That's not a logical entailment of the premises, though, is it?
It's not necessarily true that he's unmarried.
Oh yeah, but see, Danny, you're saying that
I don't
necessity
know what that
isn't
means.
included in a deductive argument because then that could potentially be the modal scope fallacy. It could be fallacious in that manner. Yeah, I get. He's saying that the conclusion doesn't follow necessarily because it isn't necessarily true that I'd be unmarried, which would mean that it is logically impossible for me to get married, which is not true.
Right,
So
now-
the conclusion doesn't actually contain necessity there.
I know this sounds weird, but I don't think there's I think it's sufficient to say that that the conclusion follows from the premises, and that's the end of the story, right? That's just, there's just
I think
nothing else
think
to
that's
the
a good
story.
way to put it there with the sufficiency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you're making a distinction where you're basically saying that soundness is an opinion. I mean, soundness is not necessarily true, and you're trying to say that if it's not necessarily true, then the conclusion is not doesn't necessarily follow.
I honestly think we agree. I think that I'm just saying that we have to be careful in saying the conclusion is necessarily true. Okay, because we get conclusions that
I
are
put
true.
a caveat. Did put a caveat on that, right? That the premises are sound.
Yeah,
they would have to be to really be a sound deductive argument.
Yeah, but look, in the Leo case, the premises are sound. Okay, and
could you restate it for me? Sorry, Danny,
Yeah,
I hate to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. First premise is if Leo's a bachelor, then he's unmarried. Second premise, Leo's a bachelor, and then it follows that Leo is unmarried. But it's not. Notice that it's not necessarily true, despite because it's not like Leo can't marry, right? The premises are
nothing to do with it.
That's what necessary means.
Yeah, but it's nothing to do. It does in it. Okay, it's Leo. We're not stating whether Leo can or can't get married.
Yeah,
that's not an entailment from the premises which are given.
Necessarily as a modal operator, isn't
but
it?
It's not an entailment, though, is it?
Well, okay. Well, then what? I'm just going to ask you. What do you mean by necessary?
Well, I mean,
I think entailment
it cannot fail to be true given the premises.
Yeah,
cannot fail to be true given the premises. Okay, then that's what you mean by the necessary. Then I agree with you. I'm just saying there's a sense of necessary that mean it can't. That if you attribute necessity to a proposition, that proposition can't be false, which is not what you just expressed there. So
it can't fail to be true. In other words, it can't be false.
Yeah, we don't want to say that that the truth that Leo's unmarried can't be false, right? That can be false.
Yeah, because wouldn't it be that there could be possible worlds where it is false, but so yeah, and I think that's where it would
how if
fall into the modal scope fallacy.
Well, that would just be a
Leo
world in which
cannot be married if he's a bachelor.
Wait.
We accept that.
That would just be a world in which the premises are false.
Yeah.
Right, that's what you're saying, yeah. In a world
yeah.
in which the premises false. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But I put the caveat on saying that the premises were true.
Yeah, but that's in this world. That's in the actual.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's but necessity is a modal notion, meaning you're talking about
I'm
what's
with you now.
true in other worlds.
Yeah,
right?
I'm with you now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but I think I know. I think we're agreeing. I'm just saying that I used to say, "Oh, well, this necessarily follows." Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's not, depending on the argument. But the point is that I don't see a distinction. If you think about the distinction between X follows from Y and X necessarily follows from Y, I think there's a distinction.
No, you'd have to say that again for me because I was concentrating on trying to get the thing. But could you just say that last phrase again for me?
Yeah, I think there's a distinction between saying X necessarily follows from Y and X follows from Y. I think those are two meaningful.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay.
Man,
thank you.
I'm sorry. I just noticed on John's community page that 2 hours ago, somebody else called him a grifter. And then, so I can see why he was like upset.
I'm not going to say much about it. I did hear some of it, but I kind of agreed with Leo's assessment.
Yeah, well, I don't really give a shit what you think. But anyway, but somebody else, like a therapist, was calling John a grifter. So when did this happen? Does anybody know the context behind this?
A therapist called him a grifter? When?
That's what he is. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, he's literally a therapist. Well, somebody who's a therapist, that doesn't mean it's his therapist. It's somebody who happens to be a therapist.
Yeah, that's what I said. So who is this therapist that called him a grifter? So
I don't know.
Oh, anyway,
he doesn't tell us.
I guess I'm not alone. I'm not sure. He didn't really tell us. He just says, let's see. Somebody accused him of misleading and lying to people for money. Something about a grifter in here, I think.
He talks about, I can't make this stuff up. It's like these idiots can't help but give me ideas to work with, but then he never comes and discusses those ideas that we supposedly gave him with us. He only comes in here to bitch and complain at us.
Yeah, it's right here. He's calling me a grifter, and his professional mission is to get paid to help atheists think they're normal. So he's a PTSD therapist. That's
weird. I really wish LPP was here because I'd have to ask him, wait, are you insinuating atheism isn't normal?
Yeah.
Atheism is usual or typical. Might not be popular, but it's usual or typical.
Yep.
Now, if you want to say normal in the normative sense, I personally would say one ought to be an atheist, but I'm not going to necessarily, say everybody else has to have that exact view. That's the way I look at it.
Oh, and he was so impressed with us having what he calls a meltdown about the logical argument that he created another one. Look at this one. This is
why I actually want to talk with. I actually, I don't know if he's still listening, but I would actually genuinely like to have a discussion with him actually about these arguments and the ideas. Everything else aside. Because he mentioned the PSR. I reject the PSR at least. I can't remember who, but somebody sort of formulated it that there's sort of a strong PSR and then a weak PSR, where strong PSR is literally everything has to have some sufficient reason. Weak PSR is, most things at least, but maybe not all things will have sufficient reasons. So I would be more weak PSR, but if somebody doesn't make a distinction, it's either you accept it or you don't, I would reject the PSR.
Did you did you see Jefferson's comment?
Look
at Jefferson's comment.
There's a long comment response. Okay, where the first post comment you also read only a suggestion. Okay, I have no idea where that is.
In the first post, I think it says, right?
Yeah, the post the other post, community post that we were looking at, there's going to be a comment there, and it's a response to that first comment. So scroll down to comments.
If you click on it, you got to click on that.
Comments?
Click on the little comment box. You see the thumbs up, the thumbs down, and then the little message box. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, just click on the picture. Yeah.
Okay, so here.
Scroll down.
Yeah, scroll down in the comments. Yeah.
And then it's a response to that first comment. You should probably take the highlighted comment off from Spatchcock, though.
Okay, let me. Okay, well, the problem with talking with John is that every time he comes in here, it's like he's got Tourette's syndrome. He just can't do anything but huff and puff, and he is like so hot when he comes in that you can't talk to the guy. That's why I don't think you ever would have talked to Andrew. He just wanted to, let's make it 5K. Let's make it 10K. How about 100K? It's like, yeah, fuck you. Anyway, okay, so what is the comment? Matt Smith. Who's Matt Smith?
I don't know. I know there's an actor named Matt Smith. I think he played the Doctor in one of the Doctor Who series.
You're absolutely right, and he did a pretty good job.
Oh, so Matt Smith might have been the one that was attacking him and calling him a grifter?
The comment is from Wesley Coleman, is what Jefferson says. I don't know if that's the same as the grifter one.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Bold of you to assume he's lying when you yourself admit he has nothing to gain by his view and you have everything to lose by yours. Think about it. You, as a naturalist, are far more biased on the issue because if naturalism is true, there can only be common ancestry. If there's a God, they would be able to. What the fuck? Am I reading?
I don't know which comment Jeff is talking about particularly. This first one from, I don't know.
I think Wesley Coleman. Yeah, look for Wesley Coleman.
He said Wesley Coleman, the one right in front of us.
Evil Christians is actually only proof that Christianity is far less pigeonholed into what is sound doctrine, therefore. I don't know. Can you guys read this?
Yeah, it's, the first paragraph is interesting. Bold of you to assume he's lying when you yourself admit that he has nothing to gain by his view and you have everything to lose by yours. I don't know what that means. Think about it. You as a naturalist are far more biased, I think is what you meant, on this issue. Yeah. Because if naturalism is true, there can only be common ancestry. Well, no, the humans could have been created by, life could have been created by extraterrestrials on naturalism as well, so that's not true. If there is a God, they would be able to create us any way they please. Yeah, and we would expect to see that. not common ancestry. We see common ancestry. So if your argument is common ancestry, you only get common ancestry with naturalism, then it seems that you're conceding that naturalism would thereby be true because we observe common ancestry.
Okay, since the majority choose to believe a young Earth, what majority? Christians? No. I don't think that's true, is it?
Wait, hold on. Therefore, since the majority choose to believe a young Earth, that should be a compelling inductive case against your atheist religion. Well, I don't know whether the majority of Christians are young Earth. I don't think they are. But even if we granted that is true, that being true wouldn't itself be an argument against any religion or atheism, which isn't a religion. That would be an argumentum ad populum fallacy to assert so.
Anyway,
not to mention, believers have been consistently ahead of and predicted scientific discovery. Pointing out the religiosity of scientists throughout history is no different than pointing out their particular ethnicity or nationality. It's not really relevant to the fact that they made discoveries. Religious people made discoveries. Muslims did, Christians did, Jews did, Hindus did, atheists did. There were numerous people of different religious backgrounds that made scientific discoveries, and people of no religious backgrounds that made scientific discoveries. This idea that because most scientists in history were Christian, that somehow lends credence to Christianity. Well, number one, it's a non sequitur because it doesn't follow. But most people, whether they were scientists or not, were Christian back then. So that it means nothing. That's not an argument.
Yeah, you'd have to also ask what type of Christian. Because there are many different doctrines of Christianity. Some hold to young Earth, some don't.
And the funny thing is,
some hold to the Trinity, some don't.
The thing is, the Christians that he's talking about would have laughed at him and all these other young Earth creationists. They would have laughed at you and called you the biggest idiot on the planet. These people weren't these anti-science. No. And then he goes on, where was I? The scientific consensus was resistant to conformity in the universe. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Thermodynamics, the Big Bang, an expanding universe, Mendelian genetics, no junk DNA, no what. I don't know is he trying to say that the scientific consensus has resisted change in the past? Well, of course it has, because if you don't have data to indicate that we should be changing what we think, then we're not going to change. The consensus has always changed when there's been good data, good evidence to inform that change, which I think bolsters the reliability and the trustworthiness of the scientific consensus and of the scientists themselves, and as well the scientific method.
Well, also, he's making no distinction there between theoretical or hypothetical science and applied science, right? So some of those theories are actually proven by the scientific method, and some are theoretical and at the edge. So the Big Bang, has it been shown to be the case? No, not 100% yet. So maybe that's not such a good one to include with DNA, which has been shown to be true.
Well, I would say the Big Bang has been shown to be true, but I just wanted to finish this last little snippet here. All these things are true and flow perfectly fine with the Christian worldview, but dialectical materialists such as yourself have trouble with their evaporating worldview every time there's a scientific breakthrough. That's funny because literally every scientific breakthrough that's ever occurred ever in the history of human history ever has only ever confirmed the existence of natural things. Not once ever have we confirmed the existence of something supernatural. The supernatural, anything that isn't natural and isn't physical, has only ever been confined to the spurious, dubious, anecdotal claims of people, generally people in history. Today you don't see them as much as you do, but dialectical materialism is a form of that's like a part of Marxism. That's political philosophy.
Yeah, I was about to say
dialectical materialism has
that's
nothing
something different than materialism.
Yeah, I don't know. And this just goes to show you how ignorant these people are. I'm sorry.
Dialectical materialism just emphasizes the material conditions given like a person in society, like those factor in.
And that the material conditions that humans have lived under has contributed more to the way that humans live into society than our ideas and the way that we think. And then that plays into historical materialism and then things like that.
Who said that?
Who said what?
Who used the term dialectical materialism to mean like?
Oh God, I can't remember. I can't remember if it was Wait, the person who used the comment. Wait, hold on. The person that used the comment there, or the person who, in history, who initially coined it?
No, the person that just misused the phrase.
Oh, Wesley Coleman.
Oh, okay, I've seen him around.
I don't know.
Hmm. And of course, positing supernatural explanations. Yeah, no wonder if you posit supernatural explanations, then there isn't going to be a lot that conflicts with the possibility of that. So
The way
there's
the
a
best
difference
way
between possibility and the actuality of it.
The best way I like to word it, at least as quickly and succinctly as I can, why I'm a naturalist, is when we look out at the universe from every scale that we've been capable of studying it. When we look at what we can confirm and what we can't, the type of reality that we observe comports exactly with the idea that that reality is all that there is. That there isn't anything that exists beyond or supersedent to it. The natural world is all that exists.
Oh my! So 38% of Americans believe in a young Earth.
Unfortunately, yes. Apparently.
How about worldwide? I think it's quite a bit lower than that, right?
Yes, it is. It's much lower worldwide. I believe. I think it's like
wrong with us.
2 million Christians, 1.6 or so billion of them are Catholics, and
don't judge us
those,
too
I
harshly.
would imagine 95% of those believe in an older.
Don't judge us too harshly, though, because that's largely because of Christianity. There's plenty of other religious people who would believe that if they switched
Not
religion.
Christianity, it's a particular brand of Christianity.
Are there anybody?
Yeah.
Is there anybody that's amused by that, or are y'all all bothered by that? Because I'm simply amused by it.
Well,
Amused
both.
by
I'm
it?
amused
I'm
in the
bothered by
sense. I'm amused in the sense that it's humorous that there are people in today's world that are still that ignorant. I'm more concerned by it in the sense that there are people that in today's world are still that ignorant.
Yeah, I'm not too
Yeah.
bothered. I'm just amused.
I'm surprised that you see as many black cats around as you do. As there are.
Yes, yeah, that's funny. Funny they aren't selected against. Anyway, yeah, I'm concerned about it because they vote. If they vote and they believe in a young Earth, that worries me. Really worries me.
What if they voted? What if you had a younger creationist that voted for all of what you wanted to be policy?
It would still concern me greatly.
You see, as long as they vote the way I do, I don't really care.
I care what people believe. When
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
I think it would bother me more if they voted like I did.
Really?
It would make me question what I'm voting for.
Yeah, then I would be concerned.
The point is that in terms of voting, I just want people to vote for things that I want.
I'm going to be honest. I don't want young Earth creationists to be associated with socialism, though generally Marxist philosophies aren't associated with religiosity.
Well, there's that. I guess you could say there could be bad PR, and in that case, I guess that's a problem.
Yeah, that is true. And then they
Corin.
conflate materialism with physicalism, and I don't think those are
Well, a
the
lot of
same
people do
thing.
that. That's a really nuanced distinction, Leo. And I think there are very few people that make that distinction, and in like these sort of platforms, even like philosophers will like just say whatever. They'll say physicalism, naturalism, materialism synonymously, and then it's not until like you point out like, oh well, I take these distinctions, and then they'll respect that and they'll revise their terms.
I think some of the issue philosophically sounds to me between materialism and physicalism, and although that's another nuanced situation, exactly like Danny's saying.
Yeah, what the hell's the difference?
I think historically there seems to have been an understanding of what materialism is in philosophy, which is different from what it is today.
Yes, materialism is the idea that all that exists is what is matter and the interactions and the behavior of it, and then the things that naturally emerge out of that. Physicalism would be all that exists is that which is physical. I reject materialism because quantum fields are not made of matter. They're by definition they're not material. So materialism is not true.
And you're going to have to reject materialism.
Step out into the what?
I just don't give a care about that because of if there's an equivalence between them, that doesn't matter then, does it? If
I think
reduce all material to energy, then let's just call it physicalism or materialism. It doesn't really.
Well, back in the 1950s and the 60s, materialism and atheism had a sort of a different. They had kind of a different. I would say social sense behind them.
Yeah.
And they were considered kind of equivalent. and materialism was more about greed and how you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Well, no, that's economic materialism. The idea that material possessions should outweigh like your relationships. I don't think
Right.
like
But when
that
I
type
grew
of
up,
materialism isn't what we're talking about.
when I grew up, that's what they meant by materialist. There was
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I-
that's
I
yeah.
hear you.
Back then, yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
that was a common view
You were
of it.
yeah, you were a materialist if you cared, about your money and how nice your car
Right.
was and how big your house. Well, yeah, you were in your clothes that you were a materialist.
Yeah, so
Is the
physical is
opposite of
better.
material in that sense? Is the opposite minimal? Like you're a minimalist? Is that the
I don't know what the hell.
poles there?
Honestly, I don't
I'm
know.
definitely a minimalist. Yeah.
The opposite, you'd be a dope smoking hippie back in the 60s. Dope smoking hippie or materialist, one or the other.
Yeah, that was the distinction going back in the 70s, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say I don't think that there's any meaningful distinction between physicalism and naturalism, though.
No.
Yeah.
I don't.
Again, material though. When you say matter, Leo,
When I use the
right?
term,
You understand it because that's equivalent to energy and fields.
I don't think matter is equivalent to energy. Personally, I don't. I would not say that matter is equivalent to energy.
Well, proportional.
physicalism though is usually used in the context of philosophy of mind, though.
Yes,
Right,
that's
Yeah.
the thing. In
Interesting.
terms of the mind.
So when I express to you that I'm a physicalist, I'm expressing my views about mind and body.
Hmm.
I'm not but and usually, so I wonder, if you're a physicalist, then I think that leaves open for you to be a non-naturalist, and that if it's used in that way, because you might be a physicalist with respect to mind, but you might be you might think that they're abstract objects. So you might be a Platonist.
Yeah, I mean, in that respect, you can be a physicalist and a naturalist.
Yeah, you see what you're saying.
Yeah, and a
I've never
physicalists
really-
have more
Oh,
to
I mean, a
do with-
physicalist and a non-naturalist. I'm sorry.
But I don't really see that very. I mean, they're just
Yeah,
so correlated.
It seems like if you accept these are ideas rather than something which is objective, if you're not a Platonist in that sense, then if you believe that the mind is reducible to the brain, then you can perfectly understand
Actually,
that these
I know
abstract
someone-
ideas are reducible to
I
physical.
think I know someone like that. Peter Vandenwagen is a physicalist, and he's a
Yeah.
Platonist.
Yeah. I don't think there's not necessarily a contradiction. I don't think it's just whether you mean these things exist or what we mean by existence of an abstract object, right? And what does that really mean? I'm not even sure it really means anything in terms of there's the forms or mathematics or anything like this. I don't think these are real objects. So
Yeah,
My
I take a
physicalism-
nominalist view as well.
My physicalism has very little to do with the mind. The mind is like insignificant, tiny little portion. These little human minds are almost meaningless in the perspective of the cosmos. So my physicalism would be less about the mind. So I would push back on that.
well, I can't see why you would think that, because surely you'd think that the brain is one of the more complex objects in the universe.
It's complex, but that doesn't. But it's but that's
So it's
hardly
meaningful in that
right
sense.
home about.
Well, it's meaningful in that sense. It's more complex than a star
Actually,
or a
I
galaxy.
don't know. Cells are pretty complex too, but
Absolutely.
yeah. But I mean, no, I'm not. I don't like that human bias. I think humans are insignificant little tiny blobs of goo on a little tiny speck of dust, and who gives a shit?
Insignificant. What is that?
Well,
Yeah,
that's necessary
tiny.
if you're not going to fall into despair from nihilism, I think.
You are going to have no effect on how this galaxy rotates. Zero. Insignificant.
Yeah.
To the raging atheist, I'm behaving. I'm being very nice to Speed. Very, very nice.
Yep, he hasn't gotten tossed out yet. That's pretty good.
Point. Although I'm disappointed to see you're not a fan of Jordan Peterson, Danny.
Who would be?
To me, he's kind of like fallen out of my radar completely. It's not. I don't even think about him. Like
I'm the same way. I never have. He's just kind of a dunce.
I don't.
Is he still out there? Is he still a thing?
Oh, fucking more than
Apparently,
ever.
I don't know.
He's making a comeback since he's come back from rehab.
Okay. Is he
Yeah, 'cause he was
rehabbed
on
or
the
is he back
painkiller.
on the drugs?
Well, there was
He's come
one
back from
incident where he cried for Jesus on somebody's YouTube broadcast or podcast or something like that.
People
And then
cry
certain
over
atheists
Tide
kinda made
commercials.
fun of it. So
I mean, people cry over Tide commercials. I don't know why everyone lost their minds over that.
Yeah,
Tide
people. He's an emotional man, and that's fair enough, isn't it?
Like my ex would cry like during commercials. Like she would see a little dog, and it would be, I don't know, like,
oh yeah,
you know. I mean, people cry over every. I don't know why people give him a hard time about that.
I see those commercials and I say, you guys need all this money to help all these animals, but you're purchasing commercials for probably at least tens of thousands of dollars.
But they probably
okay,
profit
okay.
from it, right? But no, I always skip those ads as fast as I can because I hate the way they make me feel. I'm like, I don't want to feel sorry for any of these things.
Yeah, but the way I like it is philanthropy and charity to me are like, they're not. It's not that they're meaningless, but they're not what people think they are. Not even remotely close.
I think there's a possibility to that.
Every time I think about animals, I think about T-bone steak.
Question is, why is he crying? Because Correct, he's a little bitch.
He got Jesus in his heart.
Yeah, not to be too misogynistic about it.
Died for him.
Atheist Junior, you should invite me. I have a PhD.
I was
in
joking, by the
phylogenetics.
way.
I have a PhD in phylogenetics.
Yeah.
So you should invite me too.
Oh, guys.
I can't say Jordan Peterson is better than like JF Gariepi and Stefan Molyneux and Ben Shapiro and like Steven Crowder and all these other oh god, they're so bad.
I wouldn't even go.
I actually
Jordan Peterson can be tolerable. I'll give him that. He can be, there's some stuff he says that's right on hits the nail on the head.
He's a psychologist. That's all you need to say about it.
I don't pay attention to Ben Shapiro anymore, but my political views, I've become so apolitical. It's crazy, but I actually like the guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
me
kinda
too.
Funny.
Yeah, especially there was a video where someone slowed him down to like half speed or something like that.
But his views. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But he sounds so drunk when he's talking.
His views on transgenderism and all that are like, it's really wrong, really off. But like, I don't know. He's like a good buffer. Like that. I sometimes like. I like to see
the main. Finish.
No, I'm done.
Oh,
I think Jordan Peterson is a man whose celebrity took him by surprise, and then he started making money, and then he just kept talking.
And he kept doing it. Yeah, he said some things, and a whole ass, political demographic of people started championing him, and he's like, "Well, I'm making all this money, and I've got, I might as well keep saying these things." Huh? That's how I think a lot of people fall into this like right wing. Media circle jerk off is that they say something and they don't really like believe like what all these hard right wingers believe, but they say something that those people like, and then they get picked up and exploded by this group, and then they're like, oh well, I might as well keep saying this stuff and grift my way to being a millionaire. I'm sorry,
right wing though,
at least here in the United States, I don't live in other countries, so I can't speak for them. But here in the United States, conservatives are the easiest group. Just watch the kind of ads you see on like Fox News when Fox News or Fox Business is airing. You can tell it's so fucking funny. These companies are just grifting the fuck out of these people. It's hilarious.
I don't see myself ever becoming a Marxist, but one thing that they've got right is I don't feel like anyone in the political spectrum is gonna fix any of this crap. I don't know.
No, that's not the way it works.
I don't think it's gonna work out in any direction you go.
Oh, of course not.
What about Jordan Peterson's drug use? What about Jordan Peterson's drug use? Like that, I know he just.
I don't really care.
Was that like a recent thing? Like, did he like?
I thought it was in like 2018 or 2019. Like he was doing a bunch. He was popping pills, wasn't he? Something like that.
Yeah,
Roxy or something.
Well, he was taking medication for psychological anxiety.
Christ.
And
got
I
addicted to
understand
it.
it, and then he got addicted to. He was dieting, and he got addicted to some drug on that, and then it got out. Then it span out of kind of control, really, and because he was under so much pressure, I think he was reluctant to stop because he was on the gravy train. So he thought he would medicate his way through it, and then eventually it all caught up with him, and he's been off to rehab, and he's come back a more calm person, and I, for one, will listen to him again. I listened to him before, but I would dismiss him quite quickly. I'll listen to him now for a little longer, but again, I'll dismiss him. He actually had quite an interesting conversation with Stephen Fry recently, which I would definitely recommend Danny to listen to.
Stephen Fry?
Yeah, you know who Stephen Fry is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Was he interviewed in Detroit? Did Detroiter interview him?
Not Stephen Fry, no, I don't think so.
Scott, you said something?
Oh, yeah. Well, how about a link, Simus?
Oh, God, you ask for everything, don't you guys? You want links
I
all
do.
the
You
time.
must bring a link. Bring a link. Bring a link.
Link. Okay, by
I
the
will
way,
find it for you now.
Atheist Junior has a stream coming up, I think, at 5 p.m. Central, probably 4 p.m. Eastern, on with Andrew Cumming and possibly Jackson Wheat on phylogenetics. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, Danish debater asked for like a quick recap of the debate with TJump. Danny lost. Jump won. That's
Okay. It's in the private chat for you. So,
What do
an
you think
atheist in the realm of myth.
What do you think was T-Jump's most compelling rebuttal argument?
the look of confusion he had when you were trying to explain your position.
He depicted my position fine.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about his response to it?
I'd have to just go back.
Well, I'm
and
asking
my head
Speed
in.
because Speed thinks
Oh,
that
good.
T-Jump
Okay.
won. You know, so he knows he's probably familiar with the rebuttal.
Well, you failed to make a case, and T-Jump looked shocked and like amazed that you were actually trying to make the case you were making. And
What was
that's
his rebuttal?
What was
What was his rebuttal?
His rebuttal that basically desires are perfectly explicable. All of the stuff that you were bringing up are perfectly natural.
No, I said that I wasn't
explicable with
contesting the
naturalism.
explanation. I told him in the very beginning, if you listen to the debate, that I wasn't contesting that they can't be explained by natural causes, right? So you just weren't listening to the debate.
So then, but wait, so are you agreeing that things like desires can consist in the natural realm?
I'm saying that they interact with the physical realm. They can be explained by the physical realm.
Yeah, but you think you're something separate from them.
Right, but why did you talk about explanation and cause?
But if they're explained, and I would argue consist in the natural realm, in what way are they not natural?
Because they're normative. That's
so.
The idea.
Yeah, but that's what I mean by failing to make your point.
Normativity is a psychological concept of human. If humans didn't exist, things like desires wouldn't exist either.
Look, you could be right now, Leo. I'm just pointing out that Speed doesn't know T-Jump's rebuttal to my argument.
Oh,
right.
Let me just shut up.
Well, I didn't watch the whole debate.
The point is, and he attributes T-Jump a win, even though he can't repeat his argument, which is kind of.
I didn't say that was why he won. I said he won by just reading his expressions.
I don't
wait. He steelmanned my. At one point I said, "Yeah, you understand my position."
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
So
yeah,
you're just making stuff up.
Was that early on?
Yes, the middle of the video, probably.
No, I mean his look at why are you making these arguments?
Look, I gave him the same looks. Are you going to judge the debate on the? I gave him a very very similar looks. Did I win the debate?
I thought your looks were much less compelling.
Okay, well now we know how you arbitrate between a winner and a loser in a debate. That's all I needed to know.
Your looks were a lot cuter, Danny. That's the problem.
Yeah, they were cuter. They were less compelling as far as like evil winning the debate sort of thing. So I think Jump's expression took the day. So anyway,
I don't think it was a win-lose debate, to be completely honest. I saw it as more just a discussion than an actual debate.
Yeah,
I think I did it for a couple reasons. I did it because I wanted to promote my channel. And the second thing was, personally, I think the whole dualism thing is just too big of an endeavor to, it's like trying to.
Sorry, the whole what thing? The whole.
It's too big of an endeavor to solve in an hour. Dualism and physicalism.
Dualism. Yeah,
it's just not. The amount of the happy thing that what I'm happy about is that I felt like if you wanted to understand my argument, then I think that video is a good video to watch because I think I depicted it in a way that I approve of, right?
Very Belgramy, I thought.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that. That's the utility of the debate for me. It wasn't to make progress with T-Jump.
I will ask you one quick question, Danny, on that, if you don't mind, and Speed, I hope you don't mind as well. Which is to say, I listened to Jack and Josh, I think it was, putting this argument forward some years ago, probably in one of Helena's hangouts. You might be aware of it. I don't know.
Oh, Helena.
Say again?
Can I?
With Helena's hangouts?
Yeah, one of Helena's on Helena's channel it was, and to be brief, Helena obviously she's a naturalist, and she argued the point back and forth a few times, and after a little while, it came down to one word. I felt it came down to one word that Jack was asserting the same argument you were making, which was about commitment and the definition of commitment for it's in relation to desires and what entailments that had. Now, I felt like TJump felt that, that's kind of shifting, well, not shifting the goalpost, but that's kind of loading the, loading the deck ahead of time, really, to make sure that you get the right deal. And I just wanted you to, if you wouldn't mind, if it's possible to do it briefly, and it may not be, in which case fine, just to explain why you think that word comes up so often when we're talking about the more in-depth version of dualism that you're talking about.
Yeah. So first of all, to think beliefs as commitments, that's not a popular view, right? People think they're commitments, but they're they might be a subset of intentional states like belief. But Bill Gromy's claim is that all beliefs, all desires, right, are commitments, and that's kind of the controversy.
Can I ask a quick question?
Okay, thank you. That kind of answers my question.
Okay.
That he thinks all beliefs are commitments, and I don't think that's the case.
Am I muted?
No, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
You're just weak.
Oh, well.
No, I can't hear you now. Oh, yeah, now I can hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Let me do there. That should help.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Danny, just to understand what it is, like not a point of contention, just to know what you mean. I have two questions. When you use the word commitment, do you mean something different than what the colloquial usage of commitment, as in being committed to something, is? And number two, what do you mean when you use the word commitment?
Okay, so I think I'm tracking normal discourse. Okay.
Okay.
The second thing, I mean commitment, I mean reason, right? So if I'm committed to X, I have a reason.
You have a reason for adhering. That's probably not the right word to use, but I think you get what I mean. Believing in.
No. That if I have a commitment to X, I have that itself is a reason.
Oh, okay. Okay, I
Right,
got you. So a commitment is a reason. Okay.
Yeah, like the idea is that if I'm committed to the proposition that it's radiance on being true, that's a reason to not believe the opposite. Negation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And if it's a reason, then usually this is where it's less controversial. People think that if you have a reason to do something, you should do it. So when you have a commitment, you should think a certain way. You shouldn't think a certain way, right?
Kind of like follow through on the commitment.
Yeah, there's a philosopher that sort of disagrees with Bill Grommy, but he puts it this way. His name is Robert Brandon, one of the greatest living philosophers right now. And he distinguishes between doxastic commitment and practical commitment. Okay. So beliefs are doxastic commitments. They might, or they, at least they're and then desires are going to be something like practical commitments, right? Now he probably wouldn't say it exactly like that, but I take that distinction very, very seriously.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't get on board with it myself. I found it very difficult to understand that there can't be reasons for and against held in a mind, and therefore I think saying that a mind can only have one or the other of these commitments seems a bit strange to me. I mean, that's why when you said
that, I wonder.
When we were talking about benefits, right? Whether you think that a particular course of action is beneficial, I think that's and when you say commitments, you're kind of saying that there can only be a series of reasons by which you think they're beneficial.
Oh no, we don't want to. That's kind of like what Leo the way he first characterized me. It's not that it's if you have a belief, you have a reason to have that belief. It's that the belief itself is a reason.
Yeah. That's what I'm disagreeing with. Yeah.
Okay, and you're saying
you could have a reason. You could have a reason to believe it and a reason not to believe it, and then you would weigh the two and that would give you the commitment.
Well, all things being equal, right? You can have competing beliefs, competing desires, right? This is, I think, Speed pointed this out, someone else pointed this out, that if I desire X, I believe that X is good. I think that's true, given the fact that there are no other desires, right? Now, you can have competing desires.
Yeah,
so
okay, well, that's, yeah.
And then...
that may be a little bit ideological rather than, you know.
There are cases
So
in which we have...
Danny, is it possible for you to basically present your dualism in a nutshell here in 5 minutes?
Oh, no.
I think, hasn't he done that before?
He's done it multiple times.
I know.
I've seen a written version of it from Danny as
well.
well.
I'll just do really quickly. I divide the world.
Okay, I'll shut up.
I divide the world between is and ought. Okay? I think natural
everything is natural. Everything that's not is not natural. That's
Well, I don't want to wait. Okay, that's close to
too simplistic.
No, because there's truths about numbers that are not natural, and that belongs in the is category.
Oh,
right?
okay. Oh, okay.
3 is odd, right? That's not prescriptive. So it's to say that part of the world of is the natural world as well as truths about abstract objects.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. But the idea, it's almost like a Venn diagram, the 3 bubbles, right? It's almost like that, where in the middle, I can't really visualize it now, but the idea is that just because it's descriptive doesn't mean it's necessarily non-natural. But the idea is that natural thing, if we're talking about things that engage in causal relations, right? And just kind of omit abstract objects, then what you said, I'm tracking what you're saying. Right. So if things the physicalist thinks that if at the very least that if there are things that engage in cause effect, that it's going to be a natural thing. Right.
Yep.
I would even argue, even if there isn't at least proper causal relations, that you can still be natural.
Can you elaborate?
So a photon decaying into an electron and a positron pair, actually technically is properly acausal. There is no causal relation really between the electron positron pair and the photon. So how did the decay occur? It's stochastic. And this is where this is one of my favorite examples to use, and I brought it up. I think we might have been backstage, however, when I had the discussion. I'm going to link it in the private chat because I would like you to review it, Danny.
You were live. I remember hearing you say this.
Wait,
go ahead.
with the William Lane Craig?
No. Yeah, well, not with William Lane Craig, but on the EA show. And when I link it, it should link to where when I come in and the discussion starts. But so, that's that the notion of causality is not required for things to be physical or natural. That because it's not whether, and I know there are people that disagree. They're just going to have to disagree and be wrong. Causality is not a fundamental principle or law in reality. It's just not. It is just not. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I just understand.
It's a presupposition. Is that what you're saying?
Causality?
Yeah.
No. I'm saying it's an emergent property, much like temperature. That at some level of reality, there's a scale of reality where it makes sense to talk about things having a temperature. Then there's a scale of reality where it's meaningless. It's meaningless to ask what the temperature of an electron is. We could talk about the energy eigenstates of an electron, the position, momentum, inertia, all that stuff. But to talk about its temperature is meaningless. Likewise, there are scales of reality where it's meaningful to talk about things in terms of what we as humans understand as causality, but then there's a level of reality where that concept just it's not there. It doesn't apply anymore, much like temperature. It's something that emerges out of a much deeper, I don't really want to use the word level because it's really simplistic. That's not the word that I'm looking for. It emerges out of a much deeper reality of relations between physical objects, much like temperature. Temperature, it's not that like temperature stops existing. It's that temperature comes from other things working together on a larger scale. That's what emergence is all about. Much the same way a picture emerges from the pieces of a puzzle as you put them together. And it's a lot of people say that like emergence and reductionism are like addition and subtraction or multiplication and division or differentiation and integration, but they're not. I don't think that they're like opposites of each other. Contrapositive? What would be the right word to use there? Contrariety? I don't remember what the word. Anyway, But they're not. Something emerging out of something else does not mean that that thing reduces back to the thing it emerges out of. Emergence and reduction do not commute in that manner, and that's why I would call myself more of an emergentist than I would a reductionist.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and mute the site because I don't want to listen to whatever that is. God, soundboards are so fucking annoying.
That's the sound. That was a sound.
Did you see the
Shooting
philosophy
this
of
in the head.
biology? Did you see the philosophy of biology video I did with Guts and Gibbon?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
I think for those, I think it was someone Danish debater. If you like biology, I have a video I did with Guts and Gibbon on philosophy of biology.
I haven't watched that yet. I need to. I've watched like the first 6 minutes of it, and then I had to fucking go do something, and I never got back to it. But I need to because I forget that it's there.
That's
I noticed
interesting
when
because
you were
part of it-
conversing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, very briefly. I was interesting that you didn't bring up in any of your streams, Speed, because I did that deliberately because a lot of these people are interested in biology.
Jesus fucking Christ!
I guess.
I'm just taking Jefferson's cue here. I'm sorry.
It's just having fun. Come on now. We've all done that. What were you going to say, David?
I did notice, Danny, when you were conversing with a female, you seemed to be awful pleasant there. I don't know. I truly noticed a big difference.
Big difference.
Do you have anything to say for yourself about that?
Well, I'll just say that I would extend the same courtesy to a cute boy too. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right.
Okay,
Wow,
guys.
it's nice knowing I'm not cute.
I'm probably nicer to you than
Yeah.
anybody in here.
Yeah. I don't think.
Are you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think so.
What about Simos?
What,
I've
with
never
Leo?
really seen
With
you be
Leo?
mean to Simos.
Simos and I have cat fought. So
Really?
yes.
A few years ago, yeah.
You're the
Oh.
nicest
You're
to.
too, Simos.
You're the nicest to Leo. You said, Danny.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two have a thing for each other. So
Can you just, if you wouldn't mind,
Pretty
Leo, if
obvious.
you want to just stand up and turn around a second.
No, I
Just-
don't.
Just have a look
The-
at the map behind you.
This isn't prison, buddy. Sorry. This isn't that. Just look at the pretty flowers. Just look at the pretty flowers. No.
You see, the second that I saw Speed on cam, I just had to be mean. Sorry.
yeah. Whoops. We lost Danny.
Danny, you didn't make it through the whole stream.
We
without-
quote unquote lost Danny.
Okay, guys, we're gonna shoot this in the head now.
Down control to Danny. Come in, Danny.
Oh my God! Stop doing that, Leo. It's just not in. You complain about people's soundboard. That's even worse. What you do.
Yeah,
It's not
that is worse.
It's not
yeah.
at all worse. No, it's not.
Oh
It's
yeah,
almost-
it is.
It's not
almost
worse than a
four.
soundboard.
Oh yes, it is.
No.
And
No,
I have
it's
to put
not.
up. And I have to put up with Peter, like playing fucking playing soundboards of me going, "Who is this ugly fucker?"
Yeah.
Get this ugly mug off my screen.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I fucking love that. That's a good one.
Okay, boys
yeah.
and girls, we're ending.
Praise's
Okay.
fart noises. His just. I feel like Praise makes this is gonna sound really bad. He makes fat guy noises. Just that.
Praise's soundboard is pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
but-
He's
No, I'm
such
not
a
talking about a
child.
soundboard. I'm talking about him as a
Oh, him.
person. You've never noticed that? Like in streams, you'll just hear.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yep. There's a lot of aggravating shit.
Like he just makes fat guy noises. I don't know how else to word it. It's fat guy noises.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ending for the day. Goodbye, cruel world.
It's not a philosophical argument.
Yep. Oh, that isn't?
Goodbye, cruel world is not a philosophical argument.
I don't know what you mean.
Answers in atheism.